Hello and welcome to everyone across the nation joining today's workshop on how to generate basic reports using TOPS Pro Enterprise Online. This is Martha Perez with the CASAS Technology Support Team, and I will be presenting today's workshop. Now, this workshop is an introduction to the report generator and setup screens and basic reports available to all agencies. Now, the next workshop is an extended session to preview additional reports available with enhanced access. In other words, agencies who have purchased a TE license or have a collective agreement with CASAS. This is one of 23 complimentary CASAS Online implementation basics workshops. Now, we highly recommend attending as many workshops possible to learn about best practices and ask questions to become confident in using the online system. Online help is available on our website from training and support, CASAS Online Help, and TOPS Pro Enterprise. You will want to be sure and bookmark these as your electronic go-to resources. Electronic resources are updated periodically, so going to them will help to ensure you are receiving the most current information. Excuse me, folks. Now, information for today's workshop comes from CASAS Online Help, CASAS CASAS Online Guide. Now, the guide contains hyperlinks throughout to help you move quickly between sections. Now, from basic, the page down. All right. We can go to our table of contents by just clicking this link, which is available at any page. We're going to filter for our section 10, basic reports. Now, again, you will want to be sure and bookmark electronic resources and search keywords to pinpoint specific information when you need help. All right, now before we get started, I want to be sure and point out where you will find access to CASAS CASAS Online and TOPS Pro Enterprise Online. Notice the URLs I just pasted on the chat box, please. Now, this is the main domain name address you will use when your agency is set up with an online database. Now, this is commonly referred to as the production server, where live data is produced. For today's workshop, we will be using a simulation server for a fictional school called Rolling Hills Adult School. Okay. Now, the simulation server is populated with fictional data to give you a realistic training experience. Now, this is available to anyone wanting to experiment and explore our online system without risk of compromising live data. You will find information on how to access the simulation server from Training and Support, CASAS Online Help, Getting Started, and download the simulation server document. Okay. All right, folks, well, let's begin, and please feel free to ask questions along the way. Now, today's workshop continues with the transition from using CASAS CASAS Online to an introduction in using TE Client or TOPS Pro Enterprise Online. Now, any user that you allow may be granted access to TE to retrieve results with or without coordinator or proctor certification. Now, to access TOPS Pro Enterprise for the first time on a local computer, you can click the TE Client or Install at top left of the web browser window. Now, a client application will install on the local computer to connect with the online server. Now, a shortcut icon is automatically placed on the computer desktop. Okay. Now, if you're a user who will access TE frequently, you may want to pin the shortcut to your taskbar at the bottom of your tray. for quick access when other applications are open on your screen. Okay. All right. As you can see, TE opens to a login screen similar to what eTests Online, except that you need to specify the server from the drop-down menu. Okay. Now we will be connecting to the simulation server. Let's see. The simulation server has 50 generic accounts, each for administrators, coordinators, proctors, and teachers. Okay. So coordinators and proctors do not automatically have access to TE. You may grant any user access to TE with or without coordinator or proctor certification. Now, users may be granted limited access to menus and data functions in TE. Now, to demonstrate, we will use an account with basic access such as coordinator. Okay. Now, after entering your login credentials, let's type the coordinator's password and then click Connect to establish connection to your online database. Okay. Okay. Now, TE opens to an empty screen. Now, all data and reports are displayed from accessing menus along the top left. As you can see, coordinators and proctors are generally limited to menus they may access. Now, additional access may be granted by your agency. Now, the top right displays the logged on user, application version, and general screen controls. Now, as seen in the last workshop, the reports menu lists categories for reports that help users meet a wide variety of needs with submenus, okay, identifying the type of report. Now, included with purchase of online test administrations, in other words, web test units or WTUs, are basic reports to track test administration usage and support students' outcomes. Now, additional reports to track and support class and program outcomes require the purchase of a license or collective agreement with CASAS for full enhanced access to all available menus and data functions in TE. Now, the next assigned test report lists students with their last CASAS test form, date, and scale score. Based on these results, TE assigns the next test by modality, level, and form available per test series. Now, students will be presented with only the form matching the test series configured in your testing sessions. The personal score report shows test results summary and scale score descriptor of a test taker on a given test form. Now, by default, this report displays at the end of taking a CASAS web-based test. In TE, you can print a copy of this report. eTest administrations and WTU balance reports lists information about the number of tests administered per month, WTU purchases, and available balance. Okay. Now, the skills profile report summarizes a student's most recent tests in reading, math, and listening to identify, by percentage, the student's responses to competencies and content standards addressed on the test. The competency performance report shows test results of an individual student on a given test on a given test form by displaying the competency number and statement for each test item and indicating if the student correctly answered the item. Now, the test history report lists by agency, site, or class every student who has taken a test and displays the test history for each student. Now, these are basic reports included with purchase of online test administrations known as web test units or WTUs. Now, for demonstration, we will use the individual skills profile report to introduce you to the report generator. Whenever you select a report from the Reports menu, you are presented with the report setup screen. Now, each report consists of two main sections. At the left is the Report Setup Navigator, and at the top is the Report Setup toolbar. Okay. Using the Report Setup Navigator, you can define general settings, filter the initial population using the available listers, and choose which reports to display using the report selection. Now, the General Settings page contains 5 distinctive sections. The session name identifies the report. Okay. Now, there are common filters for all reports, date ranges, output layout parameters, and special options. Okay. These are specific for each report. Now, the initial population determined from the general settings can be further refined using available listers. Okay. Now, click on any lister from the Report Setup Navigator. Okay. Now, display the initial population. We're going to select in program years. Or you can choose to select only a few records by unchecking the pick column to check pin records. Okay. We're going to undo this. Or you can also search for a student by using the name, okay, column filter, and then type any name and say OK. Now, our search for a student by using the name has appeared over here. From the Navigator, the report selection, let me just clear this filter. From the Navigator, the report selection lists available sub-reports or related outputs that pertain to the primary report you are trying to produce. Now, on certain reports, you can use this list to have results saved to a spreadsheet file. Now, along the top of the report generator is a report setup toolbar. Use the base container agency drop-down menu to preview your report at state, agency, or site level. Now, for state and agency levels, you can also preview your data aggregated or not. Now, by subsites. Aggregation usually means that records are merged and only considered once. Now, use the Generate button to preview your report. Let me just uncheck this. The Generate button will preview your report. Now, the report will open on a new page. The Save Parameter button allows you to save parameters or save your settings for a specific filtered report. Okay. The Load saved parameters will display the load parameter button will display is if a list of any previously saved report parameters that you specifically saved to avoid setting up common report settings each time you want to generate a specifically filtered report. Now let's review each section in the report generator. Okay. Okay. The session name section. Okay, let me just collapse these for a moment. The session name section identifies the report date and time when generated and the logged on user. Now you have the option to edit the name. Okay. Now the common filters. This section specifies program years, which only records in corresponding program year will be included in the report. And also programs. Now, besides being able to filter reports by program years, some reports allow you to further refine your filtering criteria using the programs list. Now, by selecting specific programs, only students having at least one activity record with a specified instructional program will be included in the report. Now, the date ranges section is a combination of data ranges that vary depending on the type of report that you want to create. Now, each date range has a predefined set of data. Now, use the drop-down menu to select activity date ranges or assessment date ranges. Okay. Now, use this option to define a custom interval for running your report. Now, by selecting, by selecting a specific interval, after and before values are automatically filled with corresponding dates. For example, for current fiscal year, after value will be the July 1st, 2014 date, and before value will be the June 30th, 2015. Now, the output layout parameters section. This section consists of report sort order, okay, with all available fields already selected. Okay. Now, page sort order also will with all available fields already selected. Now, page warning, criteria information, report criteria, prepared by and print by, and print time already are checked. Now, for report style option, the background options are available. Print options allow you to modify the way information prints on the report, such as name and ID. Now, each report has its own unique special options. Okay. Now, these are to target a specific segment of the learner population. Now that you have a general understanding of report setup screens, let's generate a few basic reports. Now, since we have been using the individual skills profile report to introduce a report generator, we'll use this to generate our first report. Okay. Now, from special options, you can choose to include grade level equivalency. Okay. All right. Now, our recommendation when first becoming familiar with generating reports is to leave most settings as is. And then after you are familiar with reports, you can begin to customize them. Now, so we'll go ahead and generate the report. All right. This gives you a message when it's generating. Okay. All right. Well, this is a I did not check if I wanted to be warned if there were too many pages. So I will return back to my report setup navigator and will uncheck the warn if too many pages. Click the generate button again, and this is generating. All right. It's taking a moment because it's searching through all our population. As you know, the Rolling Hills database is a populated database with fictional data, so it's going through each and every record. Oh, right. Now, the individual skills profile is a summary of a student's performance on his or her most recent tests. Now, this sample display competencies assessed in reading, and when a score is 213 and above, it will include a GED predictor for the likelihood of passing GED subsections. So that score should be 236. Excuse me. Let me search for somebody whose score is 236. Okay. All right. Okay, well, I can't find one right now, but that's okay. Just so that you know that the score 236 and above, it will include the GED predictor for the likelihood of passing GED subsections, okay? Now, this is a very popular report among ABE, high school equivalency, and high school diploma programs, as well as workforce readiness programs for determining eligibility. Now, we'll generate a student competency performance report. Okay, student competency performance for details about Trayla Ford's performance on her most recent tests. Now, from reports, we will select, oh, excuse me, and let me just X out of this. I didn't walk you properly on how to generate this report. So from the reports menu, we will select test results, competency performance, student competency performance. Okay. Now from the report setup navigator in program years, we will select only Trayla Ford. Okay. Now the student performance report shows test results of an individual student on a given test form by displaying the competency number and statement for each test item, and indicating correct and incorrect responses. Now, this report is sorted by order of test items. The last report we will demonstrate generating, oh, I haven't generated this yet. So we'll click Generate. As you can see, the competency description, it will sort these by competency number. It will list if it's correct or incorrect, however the person responded. It will list the competency number, the task for each of the positions, and the competency description. It will include the student name and ID, the score, scale, and raw score. Okay. Now, the last report we will demonstrate generating is a student test summary report for a group of students. Now on general settings, student test summary. So we'll go to reports, test results, student test history, and student test summary. All right. Okay, now on general settings, we will set the report at the agency level. And from the Navigator, I will pick and I will click on in program years. And I will just randomly select it for a few students and then click generate. Okay. All right. Now this report shows every student who has taken a test and displays the test history for each student. Okay, including CASAS test form, test date, okay, scale score, hours of instruction, and scores outside the accuracy range. Now, all reports will export as a PDF file. You can also print reports or export in different type of files. Are there any questions about the report generator and how to generate basic reports? All right, I will take that as a no. Now, if you are finished working in TE, to clear your screen, we can click on the Pages button at the far right and select Close All Pages. Then from the TE icon on your left, either lock the screen if you plan to return and continue working. In other ways, you can just click the disconnect to disconnect from the server. And then by clicking the TE icon again, click exit to exit the application. All right, folks. Now each workshop in a set of CASAS Online implementation basics builds on the last in a logical progression order for helping you to get up and running with the online system. Now, if you missed a workshop, we posted our playlist from past recordings so that you may listen to them. You can either review a previously attended workshop or preview an upcoming workshop. And you may access them from training and support, ETS online help, workshop recordings, CASAS Online implementation basics. You may also access them from our social media newsroom and our YouTube channel. Okay, folks. Are there any last moment questions before we wrap it up? All right. Well, please note the information I pasted in the chat box about our technology support team. The support team is available to provide any technical assistance you may need to ensure successful implementation. Now, the support team is available to provide any technical assistance, all right? Now, this email address alerts a support team that includes several members. Communicating to the larger group will help us to ensure you receive a timely response. Team members are available from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time, Monday through Friday. Right. Well, we look forward to you joining us for the next workshop for an introduction to generating reports. Oh, this would be the extended generating reports session. All right. All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for your time. And this concludes the workshop on how to retrieve test results. Thank you so much.